Welcome to our second DVD, Avalanche and Backcountry Skills, segment 3 and 4. We're going to get in more depth, you'll learn more, and we're in Wyoming right now. Great snow. One of the things we're going to go over right now is basic group dynamics. A couple of things we do is if we're riding with a group, we're going to have it so if you don't see the person behind you, you stop. If you get separated, we go to the last seen point. One of the things that really makes a difference so you don't get separated is having communication. This is the BCA Backcountry Link. It's a radio. The radio's in my pack, the microphone, the volume, the channel is right here. I talk into it, and even when you're riding in the trees, as long as you don't have a loud pipe, you can hear it. Very easy to communicate with each other. Another thing we do, basic group dynamics, if we get separated, we have a secondary meeting spot. So we don't have to go all the way back to the lodge. We can have a midway point. And hey, if we can't find each other, let's go back to this point so we don't have to go all the way back to the lodge. So we're looking at this bowl here, and today we're having considerable avalanche danger. We want to stay off avalanche slopes. We want to stay out from underneath avalanche slopes. Now at the bottom of the bowl there, it's pretty low angle, but one thing to consider is if that settles, it can trigger things above you. Also, you're in the run out zone of an avalanche. If the avalanche comes down, usually it doesn't stop on the flats, it runs out onto the flats. So even though you're not on a 30 to 45 degree slope, it may hit you. You have to be very cautious of your islands of safety. When we look at that bowl, we can see some small trees, steep slope, flat area. When it's considerable danger, we like to stay out away from underneath the steep slopes. We're in a meadow, we're gonna stick to meadows, tight trees today, out from underneath the steep slopes. Next step before we head out is we're going to check a couple of things. I want to check my beacon. I want to check my battery strength. So I pull it out. Battery strength is at 99%. I'm good to go. Another thing I check is, but before I head out, I'm going to do one more check. We're going to do a walk-by test. We're going to check to see if the beacon is functioning in both modes, the transmit and the search mode. Next thing I'm going to check, every time I go out, I want to check my canister on my airbag. I want to see if the needle is in the green on the Backcountry Access float series. Check that, it's okay. Check the connections, pull on them, make sure everything's set. Now I'm ready. I'm ready to head out. I'm going to do a walk-by test with my Avalanche transceiver, and then we're ready to go.
Check it. no secret that riding out here you encounter a lot of dangers. You're banging through the creek beds and the trees. Like to wear a little bit of extra protection. Mention the tech vest. I also wear a neck brace here. You never know when you might slam into a drainage, come down wrong on a jump, something like that. Every little bit will help. Can't afford the doctor bills. This is cheap. Also knee pads. And another piece of equipment I have this year that I really enjoy is the Float 22 from BCA. Only weighs 5.5 pounds. Don't stick any extra stuff in it, just the essentials. In case I get parted from my sled, all my safety gear, compass, map, spot, GPS, side pocket. Awesome pack. Well, the way I ride is look for a small opening and dart into it. A lot of guys have a hard time following me, and this pack makes it easy for them to spot where I'm going, see when I'm up in the trees, see if I'm stuck on a side hill by myself. This pack, they can always see me.
Right now we're looking at this cornice on the ridge there. We're trying to determine which way the wind is going. The windward side is on the right. The left side is the leeward side. The leeward side is where the cornice is. That's where the snow has been deposited by the wind. It's denser snow. The leeward side is the more dangerous side because it has the slabs. We're looking at this hillside, and a lot of people think that it has to be a big hill that avalanches. It's the steepness of the hill, 30 to 45 degrees, and the conditions. People ask, well, will that slide? It depends on the conditions, and that's why we check the avalanche report every time we go out. We observe when we're out there and we're doing our stability test. Now, if we look at this hillside, you can see it's drifted in. The wind has gone from the left to the right. There's also rollovers. Instead of a nice even plane with the hillside, there's places where it's going down and then it rolls over and gets steeper. Right where it rolls over, snow is very elastic, very cohesive. It's stretching over that point. Where it rolls over, if you cut across on your snowmobile, you're more likely to trigger an avalanche there. One of the things we can do to check stability is get into untracked snow, shut off the sled, jump up and down the running board, rock the sled side to side, and see if we ain't collapsing. Many times when you do this, especially in a continental snowpack early season, it'll settle, it'll whoomp, it'll collapse. And that's a telltale sign of instability. Another way you can check the stability is jumping off the sled, seeing how far you sink down, what the layers are like, or you can take out your avalanche probe, throw it out, push this through the snow, and what we want to see is it gets denser as we go down. And I haven't even hit bottom yet. Good snowpack out here in Wyoming this year. But as I was going through, I was feeling all these different layers. Some are denser than others. If I step off the sled, it's supporting my weight. If I jump up and down, I'm not breaking through a layer. That's a good sign of stability. When we're out riding, it's good to check the slope angle. Most avalanches occur between 30 and 45 degrees. Snowmobilers tend to underestimate the steepness of a slope. 10 to 20 years ago, we knew, even 10 years ago, we knew what a 30 to 45 degree slope was because we couldn't climb it. Now we squeeze the throttle, we're up it, and we tend to underestimate the steepness. So here we're going to take out a slope meter, hold it up to the angle of the slope, and we're just getting right around here in this lower section here, right around 35 degrees, 35, 36 degrees. I measured the slope below us, right around low 30s. Okay. For most riders, they don't think this is very steep enough to slide. Another thing to consider is the prime angle for avalanches is between 37 and 39 degrees. But anywhere between 30 and 45 degrees is where you see most avalanches. When you have very unstable conditions, you can see them down as low as 25, 23, right around that range. So we're going to take another angle here. We're looking by the rock there, the tree, right, the angle right below the tree in front of the rock there. So I'm going to hold the slope meter up. We're getting right around 38, 37 degrees right there. This is the new BCA Float Turbo 25. New for 2014, probe, shovel handle, shovel blade, in its own pocket. Small pocket here, bigger compartment here. You can get quite a bit in it. 2 side pockets. The feature I really like about this is the longer shoulder straps. And what this does is for a bigger, taller, or thicker person, the straps aren't way up here. The trigger handle ends up right where it should be, on your chest, not up high on your shoulder. 2 pockets. The leg strap is attached to the pack on the left side. Really nice fit, fits the bigger people better, and I'm 5'7", fits me great also. One thing we always look at when we're out riding is where are we going to park? If someone's climbing a hill, where do we want to park? We want to have a good island of safety. Right here, we have a hill coming down, a road that's drifted in. This is not a good island of safety. If we're parked here and our friend is climbing and it avalanches, we don't have enough time to get out of the way, and the snow comes down, hits the flat surface, and it's going to pile up very deep here. Also, if you're on the hill, you're trying to escape, you want to go out at about a 40-degree angle, go for the crown, but if you try to outrun it, you hit this, you're piling it in pretty hard. You never want to try to outrun an avalanche because it picks up speed quick and you can get pile driven into a road like this. Not a good island of safety. A better spot would be way out there on the flats from a distance. So if it does avalanche, you can keep an eye on the person. You're in a good island of safety. A road on the slope is not a good island of safety. Just to show you that I'm not one of those people that says, do as I say, not as I do, where we're filming, we found the safest place possible on the hill. We're right below this big rock that'll block anything coming down from above. It's not the best island of safety, but it's better than anything behind us. We can also go down the trail here, right below this big rock. What we're looking at is a hillside that avalanches on a regular basis. You can tell because of the thick trees, tall trees, and then in between there's small trees, and that's because they've been taken out by avalanches. Now, how close do you want to park? Well, not where those small trees are. Where we are is probably a good island of safety. I look around me, the trees aren't missing the branches on the uphill side. I'd want to be facing away from the hill, and I'd be ready to go if it did avalanche. Most snowmobilers park too close to the hill. They have to escape and they can't see the person on the hill who's riding. They don't get a last seen point, and it makes for a much more difficult rescue. Glad you got stuck. When we checked the avalanche report this morning, we figured by checking the avalanche report, there's certain aspects that are more dangerous than others. So when we're out riding, we're figuring out where are we exactly. The slope we're going to climb, is it south facing, is it north facing? Where was the most danger in the report? We want to avoid the more dangerous areas. So we're figuring out which aspect we're on. If you're traversing on a trail like this, know, a lot of people say, well, we just ride the trails, we're fine. Well, if you're traversing something like this and someone cuts up on the hill, you could trigger an avalanche. So here we are looking at a hillside. Once again, small trees amongst big trees tells us it avalanches on a regular basis. Right below the rock band, we can see an old fracture line. One thing we always consider when we're riding is, if it does avalanche, where's it taking us? What's at the bottom of the hill? Thick trees. It's very hard to survive getting taken into thick trees. There's no easy escape route once you're on that hill. There's nowhere to escape to an island of safety. Not a good place to climb. What we did is we measured this slope angle. It's about 33 to 35 degrees. If someone was climbing this, probably don't want to be parked right down here at the bottom. Up here, we're good. I'm looking at the trees down low. A couple of these trees look a little scarred, small trees. But being up here, we're in a much better place than being parked at the base of the hill. The avalanche danger yesterday when this track was cut was considerable danger. You can see where someone's side held across for quite some distance. Probably not the best thing to do on a considerable avalanche danger day. Alter your riding according to the danger. Snow stability is the problem. Terrain selection is the answer. If the stability, if it's very unstable, find terrain that you won't trigger avalanches. By doing this on a considerable danger day, you're pretty much looking for a weak spot. You're cutting the tensile strength. You're looking to set off an avalanche. Another thing that happens here is chunks of cornice will fall off, hit the slope, and then it starts small avalanches. So a natural avalanche may hit you. They're not that big, but they'll take you for a ride. So one of the things we can do out in the backcountry is we do a progression of terrain. And what we want to do is start low angle, and then we can start hitting some short, steep slopes, doing a shallow arch, called a slope cut or ski cut for skiers, but on a snowmobile, it's a slope cut. We're doing a shallow arch or cutting up the slope at an angle on a short, steep hill to see if that cracks, if it slides a little bit, or if it avalanches. It's one of the ways we can check for stability. Jacob's going to make a run on this small hill, and we'll see what happens. So this is Jacob's test slope, and we're watching from a safe spot. Our eyes are on them. There's still risk involved, but the consequences are lower than if he hit a big hill to start with. So he cuts across the hill, gets out of the way quick. He has his island of safety picked out. He has an escape route picked out. Nice shallow arch. Now sometimes when it's unstable, a slope like that will slide. On a day like that, you're not going to take it into longer, bigger hills. So I'm wearing the new Tech Vest crossover. What's nice about this is you wear it over your jacket. When you're side hilling, it'll shift a little bit so you get no binding. Also, by having on the outside of the jacket, it's not an insulating layer. I don't overheat. It also is ventilated on the back. It's made for wearing a pack. I won't overheat, and it helps distribute the pressure of the pack so the pack actually feels lighter. Offers all the protection, easy to take on and off. Okay, this is the new CNA Pro Backcountry Extreme Ski. I'll put it on my Skidoo XM, makes a huge difference. With a lot of long track sleds, when you go into a corner, they plow, they don't carve at all on the trails. This has a deeper keel, carbide. It's amazing on the trail. It just handles so much better, it builds confidence. But what's also amazing is in the powder, it holds a line, it's much more precise. And you wouldn't think in light, deep powder that you'd be able to hold the line better. Where you point the sled is where it'll go. Shorter in the back, behind the spindle. Side hill's better, you can control the side hill, holds the line, and it's a wider ski and it floats better too. We're looking at this ridge right here. You can see the thick pine trees, but you can also see small trees and areas without any trees. The reason why there aren't trees is those trees have been taken out by avalanches. Where there's small trees, trees have been taken out by avalanches, but now they're growing back and they may get taken out again. It's a telltale sign of avalanche terrain if there's big trees and small trees within the big trees. Steep slope, we're going to analyze which way the wind is going. It gets loaded up with snow, it avalanches, it takes out trees, and then the trees grow back. And we have smaller trees amongst bigger trees. What do you do if you get stuck? If you're out there, there's all different ways to get stuck, and there's ways to get unstuck. One method that works really well is the hijacker. This was developed by Bill Harmon out of Colorado. Developed for deep powder. It works really well if you're boondocking, getting a bad situation. We don't have light powder right now, but I'll give you a demonstration of how it works. A couple of pieces here. There's a base plate. This can mount on your tunnel. I had it in my tunnel bag. And then you have the jack section, the long shaft, and it can mount along your tunnel. He has brackets with it that come with it. The base plate detaches, pack down a spot. Even in powder, this works. You have a strap that attaches to your bumper. You put it off to the side, and then it's just like a car jack. So once we get it up, all we need to do is just push the sled over and we're on better snow. Now we can drive out of there. This is the new Tracker 3 by BCA. Smaller, lighter, more advanced features like signal suppression. Very easy to use. Tilt it up here, off, transmit search. I'll go to transmit, slide the tab over. 73% battery strength. TR comes on the screen. Red flashing light on the side of the transceiver. Tells me it's transmitting. To go to the search mode, slide the tab over. Getting two different readings here. 6.3 and a 6.6. What I can do is I can hold this button down. BP will show up on the screen. That stands for big picture. See what happens. 1 7 meters, 1 6 meters, 2 icons of people, double burial. I'll go towards the closest one, it'll take me that way. Arrow in the center, I'll orient it, get it in the center. Takes me right to this one. I'll drop right to my knees. Do my fine search. The transceiver is very fast. I get my lowest number. I'm going to bisect at that lowest number. And what's happening here, double burial. I can hold down the same button. SS will come on the screen. Brackets around the 2 people tells me they're within close proximity to each other. Tell me the next transceiver, 7.3 meters that way. Orient the beacon. Start heading this way. Takes me right to it. Very easy to use. Advanced features, 1 button, just like your cell phone. 1 button, very easy to use, user friendly, very intuitive. Give it a try. Let me know what you think.
What we're looking at right now, we're trying to determine which way the wind is going. If we look at the upper left-hand corner of the picture, we can see a cornice. It's kind of in the shadow there. The wind is going from right to left. It's coming towards us. Big cornice. Bigger the cornice, the higher the winds. As we look at the spot in the sun, we can see that the wind is side loading. It's going from right to left. Not only do we get cornices on the ridge, but we can get them going vertically up the mountain. And you can see in the sun right now, there's waves of snow going from low elevation to high elevation. Those are pillows, those are drifts. They're also to be of concern. It's denser snow on top of less dense snow. So we're going to use this same hole again. I'm kind of up against, there's a covered log here, and possibility I could go up and over it. I'm going to show you a different technique. Wet, heavy snow here, we're having a hard time backing it up. So one thing I can do is, rather than trying to lift it and bring it all the way around, we can throw it on its side and have it pivot off the side panel. Just like this, and then we'll slide it. Maybe. Just like that, and now we can upright it and get it out of the way. It's much easier than lifting it up in this heavy snow and trying to move it. Slide it on the slippery side panel makes it much easier.
Well, I've had the opportunity to wear the new stealth gear in various conditions. 3 different Rocky Mountain regions so far this season, from temperatures -15 all the way up to 40 degrees, and it's kept me warm and dry. As you can see, there's water puddling on it today from the wet snow. Great thing is, you do get warm, there's vents, and there are vents everywhere, so you can keep cool. And amazing enough, snow gets packed in these, still no moisture in my arms or nothing like that. Big difference I've noticed with the stealth gear compared to the other stuff I've had the opportunity to wear is it's not as baggy as a fit, and this is a new stretchable Gore-Tex membrane, so therefore you get a nice conformed tight fit. You're not snagging on tree branches or your sled, but you still get that comfort where you're not tight and you can stretch and move, and you get to be able to ride with a technical aspect. When I first got this gear, I noticed how lightweight it was. I thought I'd have to wear a mid layer, but all I have is tech vest, base layer, shin guards, keeps me warm and breathable. Well, I like to do all different types of riding. Some of my favorite stuff is technical stuff in the creek beds and in the trees, and it's no secret we get stuck we're digging, we're in the snow. This stuff keeps you dry while you're doing that, and then at the end of the day when you get on the trail and you're buzzing home, still dry and you're not wet, you're not freezing up, and you're not cold.
Now another thing all snowmobilers have encountered if you're riding in the mountains is getting stuck in a tree well. A couple of different ways to get out. One thing we like to do is maybe level out the sled, make sure there's not snow in front of the track. I'll look at the ski, break the snow underneath it, pack it down, then I can weight the sled, level out the sled a bit. Sometimes we can just use a snow bungee, hook it to a ski or an A-arm and have someone pull on that. Then you can pop the sled out. Now we're going to have Jacob come in. We're going to use a bungee attached to his sled, hook onto my sled, and we'll pull this thing right out of here. So many times what we'll do is we'll have a snowmobile come in, make a track, so I can pop out of the hole and I can get traction right away. Also, the driver pulling me out with the snow bungee can also get better traction. Jake was going to give it a try. Here we go. What do you want me to hook to, the arm or? Yeah, a little more solid. One thing we always want to do if we're using bungees, always keep a helmet and goggles on. If for some reason that comes unhooked, it protects your eyes and head from getting hit by the bungee. Nicely done. Okay, another thing you can do is if you get stuck on a hill, you can roll the sled over. One thing in avalanche terrain, if you're on a steeper hill, you do not want to put two people on the hill. That extra weight of the other person coming to help you can trigger the avalanche, which gets both of you caught. Only one person on the hill at the same time. Jacob went up here, intentionally got stuck, and let's see how he gets unstuck by rolling the sled over. Slides it on the panel. Then make sure he holds on to the sled. Many times we'll set the parking brake.